All right, hello, good people. This is another amazing Fitwell webinar, and it's with my good friend and colleague, Ulrik Larson from Rehab Trainer. So it's always a pleasure, Ulrik, to kind of flip the friend switch and get into professional mode with you and talk all things injury prevention, rehab, prehab, etc. So, but first things first, I'd love to, myself included, always obviously know you really too well, but always love hearing your stories. For those who don't know much about you, do you want to tell us a little bit about your story? You don't have to talk about every single angle of it, but especially you as becoming a sports physio, fitness professional, and working primarily with fitness pros. So I'll let you dive into it, good man.
Great. Yeah, I am a sports physiotherapist trained in Queensland. 1992 I graduated, so that'll actually be before a lot of people who watch these podcasts were even born. That's 30 years I've been a sports physio. And really for most of that time, the second half of my career has been all about the world of fitness, even though prior to that it was more elite sports and kind of tennis. In the latter part of my career, it's all been about fitness. And I've always been in the gym myself, always been interested in exercises and just lifting weights and trying to stay strong and healthy. So it was a great fit for me about 15 years ago, maybe 16 years ago, to get very involved with a big gym chain in Australia and a whole group of personal trainers who worked right next door to our big sports medicine studio. So we had like 10 sports physios. It was a big place in Brisbane that managed lots of elite athletes of Queensland. And we were next door to a huge gym with 30 personal trainers. So it was inevitable that we were going to be trying to jump in there and experiment with all the different ways that gym equipment and the gym space and the gym energy could be used to further help people get over their chronic problems and athletes get stronger, and then social athletes also building their strength. All of it just gradually evolved into some material, a one-day course, then a 4-day course I developed, then that backed off to a 3-day course. And then since then, just been developing more courses. So now Rehab Trainer has been going for about, 15, 16 years with a group of educators, lots of great partnerships. Probably one of the strongest partnerships would be with Tarek and the Functional Training Institute, but then also most recently the Fitwell group as well, which has been very exciting. So gradually just taking all this IP, this lateral thinking around how the gym can be useful for managing injuries, into more and more kind of useful content for the modern personal trainer. So we are excited to be here, and even the stuff that I've developed for Fitwell is a little bit modified and a little bit specialized for what you guys might, more readily kind of enjoy. So I look forward to seeing what you guys think of the content in there, which we can discuss later, Tarek, if you like, of course.
Yeah, most definitely. Tell us a little bit more about like switching from sort of clinical to working with athletes to kind of working with fitness pros. Like, what were some of the kind of key learnings and perhaps differences and then the synergies that no doubt that you developed with partnerships, etc.
Great question. There is a gray zone, in the overlap between the physio world and the fitness world. There is a gray zone. There's always been. All right. It's the fact that physios will take their clients into the gym and start getting them stronger. There's that. And so the overlap that the average personal trainer does like to get their hands on to clients a bit and try and help them with their injuries and modify movements and add new exercises. And in that respect, they are also in that gray zone where they're trying to, prevent injury and manage existing injuries. So it was really about taking that gray zone and thinking, how can we expand that skill set? How can we empower personal trainers to be more effective and safer, but definitely more effective without turning them into physiotherapists? That's always been that sort of, that kind of glass or that barrier that we don't want to cross. We don't want personal trainers to end up doing stuff that are really physiotherapy material. Stuff like diagnosis of injuries is something that we really consider unhelpful for personal trainers and potentially kind of problematic as well as they manage their clients' injuries. So that's an example, right? There's a whole heap of other things, but that's the big one. A lot of the other stuff, though, has got a lot of, sort of overlap. So a little bit of myofascial release, then some exercises integrated into, their management, giving some homework, some little correctives here and there, staying within scope of practice, but not becoming physiotherapists and dealing with any injuries that are what we'd call high risk. That's also kind of the limit that we set for personal trainers. So yeah, it's been an evolution of content, an evolution of approach as the modern personal trainer has also evolved. There's a lot more injury prevention globally available for the average fitness professional. So we've tried to stay up to date with what's expected and required, as well as working with our unique material. So it's a great question, the overlap between clinic and gym. And a client does best with their injuries when there is a bit of both, if they're a significant injury. And so the bit that's missing often is a really effective approach in the gym. That's what we bring to the table.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you, Ulrik. Can you talk more on the injury prevention approach from Rehab Trainer? Just a little bit about the system and the perhaps uniqueness, point of difference.
Yeah, early on we began to play with this word Rehab Trainer, all right, which was very much our kind of iconic logo, but thought more around those letters, REHAB, and how that might nicely sort of define the skill set that we were really wanting to promote. And then gradually that sort of crystallized into risk assessment, evaluation of dysfunctional movements, hands-on work with myofascial release tools, activation and relearning drills, and then also the act or the skill of blending this new material into current programs and fitness environments. So the rehab acronym developed and has become a very strong sort of unique way of pitching this idea of injury prevention, right? So there's got to be the risk assessment, the high level observational evaluation of movements, some myofascial release work, some activation, relearning drills, and then also this blending. So that's kind of our unique approach that is filtered through in most of our different courses, online and face-to-face as well. Yeah, that would probably be the best way to describe it. I mean, not many of the corrective exercise courses are developed by Australian sports physiotherapists, so that positions us in a bit of a unique context when we're playing in the global market. It's a lot of exercise physiologists or just general practical physical therapists who develop material, or chiropractors, and all these things are useful. But we have a unique sort of position, I suppose, as Australian sports physiotherapists with our type of content.